Hi there and welcome to Bust the Net. Here I am today, slightly different show. We're going to talk about counter pressing. And if you follow my blog at addictedtofm.com, where I write a bit more about this and give a bit more detail, you'd have noticed that I've taken Wolves and I've started an experiment. And well, the experiment is over, and the whole goal of the experiment was to see how my assistant manager would do playing with my tactics, my approach, and basically how far could they go? Well, as you can see, the league table, Wolves won the championship. Now, was not expected to win the championship. Newcastle were the favourites, and Norwich were there as well. And Wolves were expected to make it or fight for the upper table or the playoff spots. Now, for Wolves to have won the title, well, I'm happy. Although, okay, yeah, it shows that the Assmen did a reasonably good job. They lost 7 matches, drew 10, which is, well, okay, yeah. And if you look at the run of results, it is this impressive run when they in November, right into the end of the year, which is pretty impressive. If you think that usually during this period players get jaded, again look, they have like 3 days, 4 days, and really short recovery times, and they actually went on an impressive winning streak where they beat Preston, Sheffield Wednesday, QPR away, Fulham at home, Cardiff away, Forest away, Bristol City home, and they returned and thrashed QPR at home again, and they beat Sheffield Wednesday and Fulham away in the FA Cup. They got quite far in the FA Cup. They got up to the third round, and then I think in the fourth round they had to do a playoff against Newcastle, and they lost to Newcastle. And in terms of their run and in terms of some of the matches, if I'm just looking at Ipswich Town, just this match alone, it looks like pretty much I'm in line with what I expected, which is that they got a fair bit of chances on target. The whole goal of playing the counter-pressing system is to prevent sides from launching counter-attacks. So what is counter-pressing? Counter-pressing simply means this. Okay, when you are attacking, you're going to be in the opponent's half. When you're in the opponent's half, if you lose the ball, you press immediately, get the ball back, and do something with it. Differences between Klopp and Guardiola, very simple. Guardiola's teams block lanes, and they also have a priority of regaining their shape first. Klopp's one, the shape is already there, so once you win the ball back, look for an opportunity to score a goal. So that's it. That's basically the differences between the two. Can you achieve that in FM to a certain extent? Yes. Klopp's one is maybe a bit easier, but depends on the PPMs and APIs. Guardiola's one, I believe that it can be done, but it's going to be really hard because you need to have players that are versatile in positions. In order for you to assess whether it's working or not, I recommend you watching on 2D Classic, because on 3D you really can't tell. But on 2D Classic is discs, and you can really get a good picture of how your shape with your tactic looks like. Here we're attacking the ball, we lose possession of the ball, and then House jumps up, gets the ball back, and immediately the team is now starting the attack again. It got pretty good support. In order for me to play this system, I really need a shallow attack. The distances are, they can't be very far. That I achieve with using fluid or very fluid, and furthermore, I need my players to have tremendous work rate and very good teamwork. So when I go through my team, I pick them first based on teamwork and work rate. If they don't fit the bill, then I don't use them. And interestingly enough, when I left the Assman in charge, he picked a few players who had I wouldn't have picked. How attacking your tactic looks doesn't depend entirely on your mentality. It actually depends more on the roles and duties you've picked for your side. You can play an attacking style with a defensive mentality. The mentality alone doesn't tell you whether you're going to be playing crappy football or good football. Mentality just tells you how much risk you're willing to take. That's it. So, it affects a lot of things in the game. It affects tempo, it affects crossing, it affects passing, it affects the way your players move with the ball. So if you play on a defensive mentality, players are generally going to be a bit more cautious about the way they use the ball. They're going to make sure that the passes count. If you play an attacking mentality, players aren't going to necessarily care whether or not they make the right pass or do the right decision. They're just going to take what they think is going to be the best option in terms of risk. So if they think this is a high risk maneuver with high reward, I'm going to take that chance. Depends on how you want to play, right? So can you achieve a beautiful attacking game playing defensive or counter-attacking mentality? For years now, we've been saying yes. If you haven't read Cleon's threads or gone to his blog at sisportscenter.com, you should. Okay, he's been doing it for ages. I've been doing it for ages. Doesn't mean that we're going to be playing defensive football. Look at where my players are on the pitch. So what does counter-pressing look like with goals? Here you can see you're playing with Salah, Price and Edwards. Not my choice. Edwards plays the ball to Helder Costa. Price, the team is in attack mode. Here Edwards, who isn't my first choice, has the ball. Alright. Now he tracks back looking for support. There is support in the form of Price. Helder Costa picks up the ball. This is when we are counter pressing. Salah sides through to Mason and Mason scores the goal. That is what I mean by counter pressing. When you lose the ball in the opponent's half, your team presses to win the ball back and does something with the ball. Counter pressing is about closing lanes down, reducing opportunities for another side to counter attack you. In order for you to get that done, your team must be very organized. Now this is very strange coming from me. When I say organized, I'm actually using a very fluid system. Why am I using a very fluid system? It's really simple. When I've used a very fluid system, the team is going to be what I would say the distance between the attack and the back line is going to be shallow. So when they're attacking, there's going to be enough players on support. Can you achieve this on fluid? Yes, you can. Can you achieve this on flexible? To some extent, you might be able to do this on flexible. Although then again, there's going to be a combination of attributes they will need more of. I played it on structured with Torino my first season. Yes, I was doing a high block and a high press on structured. I played it on flexible, I've played it on fluid. I played it on basically most of the styles. And it's possible to do it on all of them. However, when you play it on different kind of shapes, you have to be aware of the repercussions that shape does to your tactic. If you're playing on structured, there's more space, right? So you're going to have players that exploit the space. So you're going to have runners that go into that space for you to take advantage of the space. So these are things that you have to bear in mind. The attribute distribution might be slightly different for structured as opposed to very fluid. On very fluid, it's more compressed. Chances are your players are going to run into each other's spaces in very fluid. So and when that happens and you're playing with a high line, what do you do? So it depends on your roles as well. So your roles and duties are going to affect what you do. So I have an attacking duty in each strata. So I've got Dicko, he's on attack, Price and Silvio. These three are on attacking duty. What does that mean? I mean, why do I do that? Well, okay, I need some players to actually maybe run with the ball. I might need some players to, like in Dicko's case, I need him to be in front, I need him to stay up front. So I need him to actually create some havoc in the opponent's sides because I am playing very fluid. I don't want to take forever to score a goal. And I've got Silvio on attack. So I could also do this slightly differently. I could have Dicko on defend and then these two guys on attack. It still would work. You're not going to get anybody, no one I think can tell you for a fact, this is exactly how it's going to work. Okay, I mean, you might have a very good idea in your head how it works, but if you're going to get it translated into the game, everybody has a trial and error period. Even me. Okay, I won't admit, I'm not going to say that, I picked this duty, you're going to play it exactly like that. No, that's bullcrap. Okay, I have a trial and error period, which is why my friendly seasons are, where I do everything I want to do. But once the season is off and running, I can't make any more changes. I do, and sometimes it screws me over. So here we go. Okay, what I did with this tactic was, I decided I was going to close down by grids. So these guys are going to close down much more. In this zone here, okay, who do you think is closing down much more? If your answer was this guy, then that's wrong. Okay, you can't have this guy close down much more because we have this guy close down much more. You're gonna lose, this guy's gonna go here, this guy's gonna go here, and then the next thing you know, we've got wonderful space in the middle here in front of my defenders. They would have ripped me asunder. So I decided that I only wanted certain zones to be closed down. I actually only wanted this zone and this zone to be closed down in this particular case. So I specifically only had two zones I wanted to close down. So, but it's not the same for me for every tactic. I mean, I have got like a few versions of my counter pressing. I've got one for the 4-4-2 and I also got one for my 4-3-1-2. So all of them, the grids are different. It all depends on who you have in your team. So in the case of Wolves, the first thing I did when I went to the club was, okay, let's look at the boys. Let's find out who has got high teamwork and who's got good work rate. Those who don't fit the bill, they go into the reserves. And I only and at the end of the day, I had to have some players in there just to see what the ass men would do. So here I have teamwork, high work rate. You can see the team generally has, most of them have got good teamwork and good work rates. Let me just take out the goalkeepers from this because you don't really need to see the goalkeepers because the goalkeepers are irrelevant. Teamwork would have been good for the goalkeepers, but what can they do? Come up and play as a striking midfielder? No, I don't think so. So here we go. Teamwork, work rate. First thing I did. Naturally, if you want to play a tactic that depends on organization, it depends on running up and down, it depends on interchanging of positions, then you definitely need stamina. So it goes without saying, you need stamina too. So I looked at my team and I decided these are the key attributes I need in the team: teamwork, work rate, and stamina. So after that, I go, okay, anybody who doesn't fit the bill, get out. So they're out, and I didn't pick them again, and I actually moved them into the reserve squad so they don't get affected by the S-men's decisions. And then after that, the next step will be deciding on roles that they're going to be playing, and then I get the attributes necessary for those roles, the key attributes I want for those roles to play. And finally, this is the important part. Okay, we're coming to the important part right now. This team is heavily structured with PIs. Nearly every player in this team has got PIs. The only person who isn't, even this guy's got PIs. He's been given dribble less, passes shorter, and few risky passes. So why have I given all my players PIs? This is where defensive mentality becomes an attacking tactic. Okay? If you want your team to play the football you want them to play, then you need to use PIs. If you want the game to play a generic style, then you use the mentalities without making any PI changes. So essentially, when we try to help people on the forums, we want them to go through stages of development, right? So we don't go there and tell them, oh, you got to put these PIs in and this, and you get this kind of a tactic. If you do that, then people get confused. So what you need to do is you need to understand the system first. What does defensive mentality do? Defensive mentality, without any changes, chances are you're going to get a risk-free football. That's true. But without PIs, you're also going to get the boys clearing the ball if your roles aren't set up right. So if your roles aren't set up right and they don't have anybody to pass the ball to, or then they're going to boot the ball up, take the low-risk chance. So if this fullback here can't pass the ball to Saiz or to Costa, he's just going to try and get it to Deco or Orang on this. These are the wrong place, but never mind. He's just going to try and get it to the inside forwards. So he's going to play the long pass. So he's going to boot it up. So that's why sometimes you see in your team, why is the player not playing the right passes? Why is he just booting the ball up? Why is he just clearing the ball up? It's because you have told him, haven't told him what to do. So here in this particular case, I want them to play a specific style of football that I like to see. So it's PI driven. I wanted to get the pressing style of Klopp, Sachi, or Guardiola. So in order for me to have achieved that, I gave them PIs to use. So I'm not saying that I've necessarily replicated Guardiola's tactics or Klopp's tactics or Sachi's tactics. That's not the purpose of this whole exercise. This whole exercise purpose is to show you how you can make a defensive system into an defensive mentality into an attacking system. B, it is to show you how you can do counter pressing, okay, and what is required for counter pressing. So essentially, that's the whole goal. And I did an experiment because I was successful with Torino, right? In fact, I'm incredibly successful right now with Torino in our second season because the team is really, I'm developing the team as I go. But in the case of Wolves, I got what they gave me what I got, and I decided, okay, fine, let me see if I can get them to do what I want with the players I have. And how do I do it? I split them up, I look at their attributes. And I'm actually quite happy if I were to look at the results of this team. In terms of performances, if I look at the squad and I look at the interceptions, one of the things about counter-pressing is this. You need to get the midfield screen to get a lot of interceptions. In this case, in the midfield screen did pretty well. My Torino side's interceptions is even higher than this. They range like about 6 to 7 interceptions per game. Here, we got 5, which is good. We got one outlier in Prince. He got I think he did like 10 interceptions per game, which is ridiculous. I don't know why, but it's probably because of the position he played in. So can I make a team play like Klopp? I'm pretty confident I can. Can I make a team play like Arrigo Sacchi's team? Pretty confident I can. The thing is here again, it's going to be so dependent on things like PIs. It's going to be dependent on PPMs as well, player preferred moves. So you need those in your team, and you need the right attributes, and you definitely need the right kind of pressing. So the first step is, how do you get them to press? And I've done that already. So the second step would be, how do you get the PIs to do what you want them to do? Done that already. The third step will be, how do I get them to play, to swing it a bit more towards how I want them to play, which will be player preferred moves. So that would be the last step. And that last step is probably the hardest step. You're going to have to find the right player. And the sickening thing about this is, once that player retires, you're going to do it all over again. But that's the fun part about the game. How would you do it? And so basically now comes, how do you take this and translate it back to your systems? The first thing you need to do is, you need to go and look at your own tactic. Chances are you're already doing counter pressing, but you just don't see it regularly enough. So it's like, you might already be doing it without thinking about it. So now I want you to think about it. When you're doing it, think about it. I'm counter pressing and I'm pressing these guys, and I want to make sure that I can do something with the ball. So that's where you need to start thinking. Like, so when you have your tactic, and you've created a tactic, what do you do after you win the ball? And this is the interesting thing about what I've done with my team. The final bit that I did with my team was this: set pieces. Now, if you look at my set pieces, all my defense set pieces are bog basic. Actually, there should be one more guy up. But my defense set pieces are like this generally. I've got one guy, lurking outside so I can, launch something. That's not the important bit. It's the attacking set pieces that I like. Now, when I do my corner routines, I actually have a short corner routine. The short corner routine encourages the ball to be passed to this guy. If both these guys are very good crossers of the ball, then it's really good, because then he can find targets in the box. Secondly, if they miss and the ball gets cleared, it lands up with these two. So I keep possession. So if, let's say, he takes a kick, goes into the ball, gets cleared, this guy can help pick it up. These three guys at the back to help pick it up. So we recycle possession once again. So if you were to do this on your own saves, then I would suggest that you look at your team. First thing you want to do is, you want to find out if you have the players to do it. Second thing you want to do is think about PIs and where you can close down much more. The third thing you want to do is look at your set pieces to set them up in such a way that it encourages you to keep possession. Well, if you don't want to do that, it's entirely up to you. But this system was created with the explicit purpose of keeping possession, breaking teams down, preventing them from counter-attacking, and to launch your own attacks at the same time. So I hope that this video has proved to be helpful. If you have any questions, please drop me a note. You know where to find me. You can always find me on Twitter at BusterNet, or you can read a bit more about this at Addicted to FM, my blog, where I will be going into a lot more detail. And you can always drop me a question here on the YouTube channel. And if you like this video, please subscribe, like, and tell people about it. And I hope that more people can get something out of the game. I only do this because I hope that you guys can see more of the game like I do. You take care and have a good one. Bye-bye.